23 people, including 11 children, have died after falling into abandoned illegal mining pits, popularly known as Galamsey pits, in the Ashanti region. That's according to the regional minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene. 19 bodies have so far been retrieved from the pits, with the remaining 4 still trapped underground. Dr. Amoakohene disclosed this on Monday, August 24, 2026, during the commissioning of the new ultra-modern office complex of the Minerals Commission in Kumasi. Ibrahim Abubakar is my colleague in the Ashanti region. He joins us live on the line with some more on this. Ibrahim, this is really devastating news. Just talk to us about this development and indeed the illegal mining situation in your region.
Exactly, Beatrice. In the Ashanti region, I would say illegal mining continues to threaten not only the region's land, forest, and water bodies, but, like you rightly mentioned, human lives as well. Because if you look at this year alone, losing more than 10 lives is something that is of concern to authorities here. And for the Ashanti Regional Minister, who also doubles as the head of Regional Security Council, he believes that tackling Galamsey is not simply about stopping people from mining illegally, but then it's also about dealing with the dangerous legacy left behind by these mining activities, particularly uncovered pits that can remain hazardous after miners have even moved away. And that is why for them it is more welcoming for the Minerals Commission to have commissioned a new office in the Ashanti region, because the belief is that it will bring regulatory services closer to mining operators, communities, and also other stakeholders, and it will strengthen supervision and more effective monitoring of mining activities. Let's listen to what the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene, has been saying.
Beyond all that we are doing today, this edifice and the structure as put here today is to help us in making sure there is some form of sanity within the mining space here in the region and in the country. Most definitely, the issue of illegal mining continues to bedevil our lands, our waters, our water bodies, our forests, among other environmental issues that come up with illegal mining. As I stand here as head of research, within the period under review, 23 lives have been lost, only because they were going to their farms and fell within pits that were left uncovered by miners within the various areas. As part of the 23 people, only 19 people have been recovered from these pits. The remaining 4 of them have not still been able to find their bodies. These include 11 children whose future has been cut short because someone in his quest for money left a pit uncovered within some of these areas that leads to farmlands, among others. Looking at this problem and with the support of the minister, the national security together with the ministry has started a reclamation effort in order that we will be able to target these uncovered pits that fall within the areas where people actually fall in and drown. I want to thank the minister for supporting us in this regard, and the work is truthfully ongoing. I want to call on corporate institutions gathered here who want to support government in this regard, so that we will be able to gradually start reclaiming our lands and be able to protect lives and properties within these areas.
And you heard the Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amoakohene. We still have Ibrahim Abubakar on the line with us. Ibrahim, you're in the region and you cover a lot of stories, even regarding illegal mining. Tell us how bad the situation of dotted pits from illegal miners is like in your region.
Well, Beatrice is very common in most mining areas. If you don't take care and you are working, you are likely to fall in one of these uncovered pits and even end up losing your life. So it is a concern. But then for the past 2 months, I can tell you that there has been some effort to reclaim or cover some of these pits. So we've seen the national security collaborating with some private individuals, and also some of the mining groups have decided that, look, let's try and cover all these pits so that even when we mine ahead, then we are sure that these pits have been covered. But these are no news to some mining communities, especially with the fatalities. This is only for this year, and we are even halfway the year. And the past years we've been recording same. I'm not sure there has been a year for the past 5 years that we've not recorded such incidents of people walking along mining areas, going to their farms, or even you have school children coming back from school, then they end up falling into some of these pits. So those are the efforts that they are trying to at least clear or cover all these uncovered mining pits so that they will be able to save more lives. Because whilst we are talking about protecting our forest reserve, trying to protect the pollution of our water bodies, the aspect of human lives or the risk of losing human lives is also there. And that is why the Regional Security Council is now putting its focus there so that they will be able to protect a lot of preventable deaths in those areas. So it's a worrying situation, and these are common issues when you get to the mining areas and you observe for yourself.
Ibrahim, in like 30 seconds, this new building which has been commissioned, how is it to help with the fight against illegal mining?
Well, because it is decentralizing regulation process, so people will be able to access regulation or mining services here, and that it will also enable Minerals Commission to be closer to these mining areas and be able to strengthen their supervision and monitoring process. And these are some of the things stakeholders are expecting to help sanitize the mining space in the country, because if you have the regulatory bodies very closer, then they can quickly move to site and check how people are conducting the activity.
Let me ask you this before you go. I know that we have divided opinions and reactions in various communities. There are those who are for the fight against illegal mining. Others are equally resisting it. For the Ashanti region, what would you tell us about how people are reacting, particularly to this new move to covering pits and ensuring that people are dealt with?
Well, for most of the people here, I can tell you that they are fed up with the talks and they want to see real action on the ground. And they believe that the fight against illegal mining has not been won yet. In fact, it's even getting worse. But the others who are still confident that looking at intervention strategies being put in place by the Regional Security Council, we may be able to achieve something, not total eradication of these illegal miners, but at least trying to cover these pits, maintain our forest cover, and ensure that we have clean water is enough for the country to be able to say we've been successful in the fight. So the debate is still there, but at the end of the day, what people want to see is real action on the ground. They want to see their water is clean. They want to see the forest being protected, and they want to see some of these needless deaths being avoided by covering all these uncovered pits. But for most people, they prefer that these miners are allowed to do, because you can't allow a miner to dig out this pit, move, then bring in someone else to come and cover or reclaim the land at a cost, at the cost to the government. So that is why people are expecting the monitoring and supervision roles to be intensified by Minerals Commission and also other regulatory agencies.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Abubakar. He is Ashanti Regional Correspondent, my colleague in the Ashanti region. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, says he will admit a motion filed by the Minority Leader seeking a full parliamentary probe into the reported $1.7 billion gold losses recorded in 2025. The Speaker says Ghanaians deserve to know the facts surrounding the ongoing legal and political controversy between the minority and government spokespersons, adding that the House must go beyond the political rhetoric and examine the key issues. This follows two lawsuits filed by the Minority Leader, Alexander Penyumakin, who is seeking legal redress against Gold Board Chief Executive Officer Sami Gyamfi, two media houses, and another official of the National Democratic Congress.
In the motion they have filed, which was received in my office on the 21st of August 2026, just 3 days ago. 3 days ago that it got to my office. I have gone through the motion myself, and I intend to admit the motion because we have to at least have an end to litigation. As to whether it's a loss or it's a cost, this House will have the opportunity to go through it. And please, Ghanaians are very intelligent people. They will listen, they will read in between the lines, and they will make their decisions.
Anyhow, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Babgwin. Meanwhile, the Executive Director of the African Centre of Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman, says an eminent committee of non-MPs and MPs will be ideal.
I will go beyond an ad hoc committee of parliament and say maybe let's have parliamentarians and maybe a few eminent Ghanaians. And I have seen in some countries where parliamentary committees like the PAC are even made up of people who are not members of parliament because of how serious they take public money and how it is handled. I don't think anything stops us if parliament is minded to amend its own rules so that others can join members of parliament to go to the bottom of this, so that at least whatever report that comes out, Ghanaians would have confidence in that report. You see, what we are dealing with also is the fact that, right now, Parliament is split. You talk to NDC MPs, they support the Gold Board CEO. You talk to MPP MPs, they support the leader. Now, if you bring a committee together that is made up of these two sides alone, I think you are going to continue to have the same argument.
And you have Dr. Rashid Rahman. He's the Executive Director of the African Centre of Parliamentary Affairs. Anti-graft campaigner Adam Senanu says as many groups as possible should be mandated to investigate the matter to provide different perspectives and the way forward.
Well, I'm fond of saying that, multiple groups investigating is a good thing. Even in the U.S., you find that you have different departments, FBI, DOG, all investigating matters. So if Parliament wants to investigate, that's fine. OSP, if it will fall under its mandate, they are likely to give us different angles of the same issue. So I would say that let's have different groups looking at it so that we get a much more comprehensive understanding of what has transpired.
Adam Senano is co-chair Citizens Movement Against Corruption and is an anti-graft campaigner. Some 15 minutes past the hour of 12. When we come back, we'll bring you some more. Stay with us. And you're still here on the Middaynews on 3FM 92.7. Now, the new Patriotic Party, NPP, and its flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has thrown its weight behind calls by the minority in Parliament for government and the Ghana Gold Board to account for reported losses of $1.7 billion in gold purchase transactions. The party says the reported losses have serious implications for the country's development, including road construction, infrastructure delivery, job creation, and efforts to combat illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the NPP National Youth Organizer Nana Boakye criticized the management of Gold Board led by Sami Jemfi and called for answers over the reported losses.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the NPP is out, the NDC is in, and illegal mining by every honest measure is worse today than the day they stood on the banks of the river and pointed their fingers at us. Today, NDC continues to heavily poison the rivers they once wept for on camera. The Gold Board and the Bank of Ghana have failed on both counts. Our rivers are dying, our people are getting sick, and now we learn that on top of all of that, 1.7 billion has vanished as well. This is not incompetence. This is not leadership as well.
Well, Nanabi also said that the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, also support what the minority leader, Alexander Penyomarking, is doing about the matter.
Let me say this boldly and plainly, that the entire leadership of the New Patriotic Party, including the presidential candidate, we are fully behind the minority. On behalf of the entire New Patriotic Party, there is no confusion anywhere. We are fully behind the mighty minority. The New Patriotic Party stands fully, completely, and unreservedly behind our mighty minority caucus in Parliament, led by Honorable Alexander Amoakohene. We wholeheartedly support each member of our minority caucus in this struggle. We back their questions, we back their scrutiny, we back their demand for full, transparent account of how a state institution charged with buying and protecting Ghana's gold ended up presiding over such huge losses of this magnitude. This is not partisan politics. This is a national duty. Whoever governs this country is answerable to the people who elected them. They are answerable to every dollar of the people's money that passes through their hands. And let me be equally plain about what comes next. We are not backing off, not now, not tomorrow, not until every question is answered in full.
And he had Nana Boakye. He is a national youth organizer of the NPP. The Interior Minister, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, has disclosed that a cumulative 960 illegal immigrants and 3,241 migrant beggars were removed from Ghana between 2025 and July 2026. The minister made the disclosure during a government accountability series briefing at Jubilee House, where he outlined measures being implemented to strengthen Ghana's borders and address irregular migration. He explained that by the end of 2025, the Ghana Immigration Service had removed 2,281 migrant beggars from the street and a further 774 illegal immigrants, including persons linked to transnational organized crime. The presence of these migrants is also sparking security concerns, with stakeholders calling for urgent action. Let's speak to fraud and security consultant Richard Kumado. He joins us live on the phone. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Beatrice.
The Interior Minister says over 4,000 illegal immigrants and migrant beggars have been removed from Ghana between 2025 and July of this year. From your perspective as a security consultant, how concerning is this development?
Definitely it's concerning. What he didn't say is the category or the background of the persons removed and whether they will have the opportunity of coming back or not. all over the world, what nations are doing is to have a structured form with identities of people who entered legally or illegally and create a pathway as to when they can come and when they cannot come, what are ramifications for them, and what the state interest is in many of these cases. In our case, I think we might be moving gradually to that state where we will have a national strategic policy on streetism, and that will inform the frontline agencies as to what to do, what not to do, even though they have structured laws they are working with. And I think the earlier we get to that point, the better it is for all of us.
I think the minister gave us a hint. He said that some of them were involved in transnational organized crime. I mean, what specific security threats could irregular migration pose to Ghana, especially when they are identified to being involved in such crimes?
Okay, so those are the frontliners, but what about the victims? Because some victims get here, they don't know where they are picked from, and they don't know where they come from. So you will need some level of assessment with the embassies of these persons involved, and what are the middlemen, and they also play a role. So we might got the kingpins and the ringleaders of this, but it has to be structured in such a way that the ramifications and the consequences is broadly applied in terms of sanctioning and what we needed to do going forward.
Now, beyond deportation, though, and aside from the point you made earlier about the need for us to have policy on streetism, what else do you believe the government can do to safeguard all of us?
No, I think resources for frontline agencies is key. Secondly, the agencies themselves must collaborate a bit more. They work in isolated silos, and that also do not help create convergence for what they are doing and achieving the objectives in that regard. I will be glad to see the agencies working more in a stakeholder environment where they will look at the issues, where the risk is coming from, what are the vulnerabilities, and what they needed to do. But for the state, besides the policy framework, they might want to provide a bit more resources for the frontline agencies, and I think we'll be fine.
Now, the data that was given us by the Interior Minister suggested that it was between 2025 and July. We are in August. We still have a lot of children and other foreigners on our streets. What do you expect should be the immediate measures to deal with this as a continuous process of clearing our streets from, some of these individuals and criminals as well?
I will not be surprised because he took the Interior Minister to get to the accountability series, and from his statements and the elements he has outlined, I would not be surprised if there's a plan in the pipeline to get rid of these particular ones we are seeing again, because they pose some level of public safety challenges for us, aside the nuisance and the criminal gangs hiding behind. National security sovereignty achievement is key, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see the agencies in the street clearing them again. I will urge that whenever such an exercise is about to be taken, let's collaborate more. Let's make sure we send them very far away. And let's also make sure their human rights and civil liberties are preserved, so that we don't have people coming against it. Then again, within the geopolitical arena and in the international arena, we need to look at some of the protocols we have signed and make ways of amending them. That will give us a leverage in making sure that people who come to our shores know exactly why they are here and why they must come. And those who don't need to come, we make sure they stay very far away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumado, for speaking to us.
You're welcome.
And he had Richard Kumado. He is fraud and security consultant. Now, management of the National Lottery Authority is this afternoon meeting union staff over disagreement on salary payment. The meeting, to be chaired by the Labour Minister, follows agitations by union members who say the management has left them worse off in terms of salary payment. But in an exclusive interview responding to the concerns, Director General of the NLA said the accusations are misleading. He told 3FM earlier that he's working to turn the fortunes of the company around.
On the back of yesterday's action, because I got earlier notification of planned action and all that, what we did was to immediately invite the attention of security to ensure that people don't go through excesses to create situations that. And then I also reached out to the Labour Minister regarding some planned actions that the workers of NLA were engaging in. Yesterday in the morning when they did, I reached out to the minister, provided the contacts of the leadership. The minister called for a meeting between the union, myself and the board chairman, and then fair wages for us to try and reach a workable understanding that gets us back to talking rather than resorting to what is seen clearly as an illegal strike and all that.
And you heard the Director General of the NLA, Food Safety Expert, sounding the caution on increasing cases of renal failures among children. Data from the Ghana Health Service indicate that every year between 50 and 200 children are diagnosed with kidney failure and other renal-related diseases. This has been attributed to, among others, unhealthy eating habits from childhood and other environmental factors. Speaking to Sri FM earlier, the General Public Health Practitioner at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, James Makion Amoa, said there is the need for action on food safety, especially for children.
We talk about the cardiovascular conditions, stroke, for example, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, recently added mental health as one of the NCDs. And I read just 2 days ago that obesity has been included as one of the NCDs. So basically, there are those conditions that we develop based on our lifestyle. And if you look at the data we just shared in Ghana, about 47% of death are from NCDs.
And you had the General Public Health Practitioner at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, James Makion Amoa. We'll bring you some more, especially from the perspective of the Food and Drugs Authority as regards regulations later. And that's it for the Middaynews here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Edu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Log on to srinews.com for more news. Coming up shortly is Business Daily with Bismarck Awusa.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, manufacturing accounts for 80% of 70 Chinese investment projects as nearly $500 million in capital signal shift beyond traditional China mall model. We'll hear from the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority.
Accounted for 70 of these projects.
Also ahead, Bank of Ghana absorbs 13.46 billion cedis through 14-day bills to tighten liquidity and stabilize money markets. Plus, new Minerals Commission office in Kumasi to strengthen fight against illegal mining. I am Bismarck Awusa. I will bring you details of our headlines and other stories shortly. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the details. The Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, GIPA, says about 80% of 70 investment projects involving Chinese companies are in the manufacturing sector, according to its 2025 foreign direct investment figures. The authority says almost $500 million in Chinese investment is increasingly moving beyond the traditional China mall model, which has raised concerns among local businesses.
A report by the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority shows that foreign direct investment into Ghana rose from about $600 million to $2.6 billion. Chinese investments accounted for about $486 million of the total across 70 projects. The authority says about 80% of these projects are in manufacturing, with investments expected to support production of a range of goods locally. The development comes amid concerns from industry players about the impact of China malls and imported goods on local businesses. Speaking on Business Focus, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, Simon Maggi, outlined some of the products expected to be produced under the new projects.
The Chinese accounted for 70 of these projects, mainly into manufacturing. And, you know, they are very good at setting up manufacturing businesses across. You see them whether in textiles or whether in ceramics or any of the other aspects of manufacturing. They're very good.
So all these 70 are into manufacturing from China?
Largely. About 80% of them are into manufacturing.
The GIPA chief executive also stressed that Ghana's informal retail sector remains largely reserved for citizens and urged businesses and investors to comply with the country's regulations.
What Ghana is worried about is, look, the informal retail sector, which by law is reserved exclusively for Ghanaians, and therefore we don't want non-citizens or persons who are not Ghanaians to go into that space. And this law also does same. So, you know, the president is very clear, the Minister of Trade is very clear, the Minister of Finance who led the passage of the law is also very clear in his mind that certain areas of our Ghanaian economy must be reserved for Ghanaians.
And that was a report on Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority, GIPA, Simon Maggi, revealing 80% of Chinese investment projects are in manufacturing. Moving on, the Bank of Ghana has absorbed 13.46 billion cedis from the financial system through the sale of 14-day central bank bills as it moves to manage excess liquidity and influence short-term money market conditions. The move is expected to help tighten liquidity conditions in the banking system while supporting the Bank of Ghana's broader monetary policy objectives. The following 3 Business News Test report has the details.
The transaction was conducted under Tender 876 on August 24, with the securities allotted at a weighted average discount rate of 10.46%, equivalent to a weighted average interest rate of 10.50%. The auction forms part of the central bank's monetary policy operations and should not be regarded as government's borrowing or an increase in Ghana's public debt. Unlike treasury bills, which are issued by the government to meet financial needs, Bank of Ghana bills are used specifically to temporarily withdraw excess cedi liquidity from banks and other eligible market participants. The bills have a 14-day maturity, after which the funds are returned with the applicable return. Bid rates range from 10.40% to 10.46% on a discount basis, while the corresponding interest rate were approximately 10.44% to 10.50%. The sizable operation signals continued efforts by the central bank to keep liquidity and short-term interest rate aligned with its monetary policy objectives.
And that was a 3 Business News report on the Bank of Ghana absorbing 13.46 billion cedis through 14-day bills to tighten liquidity and stabilize money markets. This is still Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck. Outside some other stories, the fight against illegal mining in the Ashanti region is set to receive a boost following the commissioning of a new Minerals Commission office in Kumasi. The decentralization of regulatory services is expected to bring supervision closer to mining communities and improve monitoring of mining activities across the region. Chief Executive of Minerals Commission, Isaac Andrews Tando, says the move will strengthen efforts to tackle illegal mining and protect forests, water bodies, and farmlands from further destruction. For more than 4 decades, mineral resources regulation has largely been centralized in Accra, forcing mining companies and other stakeholders in the regions to travel long distances to access key services. The new facility in Kumasi will serve as the Minerals Commission's regulatory hub for the Ashanti, Bono, and Ahafo regions, bringing licensing, inspection, technical services, and regulatory oversight closer to the mining areas.
For the thousands of licensed artisanal and small-scale mining operators across the region, this means reduced travel time, and resources, faster processing of application, and more responsive regulatory support. For large-scale mining companies, it means enhanced collaboration and oversight. For the communities that host our mines, it means greater access to information, a stronger voice in decision-making that affect our lives and livelihood.
You heard Chief Executive Officer of Minerals Commission, Isaac Andrews Tando. Still on the extractive sector, Goldfields says it is considering all available options, including legal action, to secure what it considers fair and equitable treatment in the renewal of the Tarkwa mine lease. Chief Executive Mike Fraser made the disclosure during a global media conference call from South Africa on August 25, 2026. He said delays and uncertainty over the government's decision had prompted the company to keep legal avenues open, although Goldfields remains hopeful of reaching a sensible agreement. The company is seeking a 25-year lease renewal and plans to invest about $6 billion in Tarkwa's deposits, estimated at 7.4 million ounces. The current lease expires in April 2027. Goldfields says continued operations would protect jobs, support local suppliers, increase community benefits, and sustain government revenues. Fraser also said recent xenophobic attacks in South Africa have affected discussions with the Ghanaian government, stressing that Goldfields has condemned the incidents. And that will be all for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.